All right, welcome to College Sport Check Basketball Scoreboard for this Friday, December the 9th of 2016. And we're going to go over the scores from Thursday, and then we're going to go over the schedule for tonight and tomorrow's schedule. And looking at the scores, and really just a handful of games. 12 games yesterday. Here it is. St. John's, New York defeats Fordham 90-62. Massachusetts over Pacific 72-48. Little Rock defeating Arkansas Pine Bluff 67-52. Middle Tennessee over Vanderbilt 71-48. Iowa over Iowa, number 25 Iowa State 78-64. North Texas defeats Delaware State 73-40. Yale defeats Sacred Heart 66-52. Florida State over Nicholls State 118-63. Eastern Washington over University of Great Falls 103-76. Texas Arlington defeats number 12 St. Mary's of California 65-21. And finally, Loyola Marymount defeats Southern Utah 75-68. Those are the scores from Thursday. Now, taking a look at what's going on for Friday. Just a handful, really only 5 games today as far as TV coverage. Hartford taking in on Boston College tonight at 7 o'clock on the ACC Network. Wake Forest and UNC Greensboro also at 7 o'clock, that game on ESPN3. Then at 7:30 it's going to be Longwood and Creighton on FS1. Siena takes on Florida Gulf Coast at 8 o'clock on ESPN3. Georgia Southern and Minnesota on the Big Ten Network. That game is set for 9 o'clock. Taking a look at what's going on for Saturday. Early basketball tomorrow at 11:30, believe it or not. It's going to be Temple. They're taking on DePaul. 11:30 ESPNU. That game is actually being played at the American Airlines Arena in Miami, home of the Miami Heat. 8 games set up for 12 o'clock Saturday. Arizona takes on Missouri. ESPN2, St. Peter's and Maryland on the Big Ten Network. Cleveland State and Purdue on ESPN3. Boston University and Syracuse on the ACC Network. Villanova takes on Notre Dame on CBS. Alabama, Birmingham, and Memphis on ESPN3. Detroit Mercy and Bowling Green, that also on ESPN3. And then Massachusetts, they're playing Providence. That game is on FS1. So those are the 12 o'clock games for Saturday. At 1 o'clock Saturday, it's going to be James Madison and Western Michigan, ESPN3. Then at 1:30, it's Rhode Island and Houston, in that game on ESPNU. Now, we got 14 games for 2 o'clock. Let me double check to make sure it's actually 14. 14 games. Here it is. Wisconsin, now only one football game tomorrow, because the Army-Navy game. That's going to be on your local CBS station at 3 o'clock Eastern time on CBS. Wisconsin takes on Marquette on FS1 tomorrow at 2 o'clock. The rest of the 2 o'clock games, Tennessee Tech and Michigan State. That game on the Big Ten Network. Texas Southern and Louisville, that game on the ACC Network. Then it's going to be Princeton and Liberty. Princeton and Liberty, Coppin State, Buffalo, Eastern Kentucky and Ball State, Ohio, Iona, St. Francis of Brooklyn and Canisius, Sam Houston State, Southern Illinois, George Mason and Penn. Those games on ESPN3. LaSalle takes on Georgetown on ESPN2. Then we have Loyola Maryland takes on Binghamton. Virginia Weiss and South Carolina Upstate. Georgia and Georgia and Southwestern Georgia State. That's going to be on ESPN3. Then at 2:30, Penn State and Pittsburgh. 2:30, CBS Sports Network. Then 3 o'clock, it's going to be Eastern Illinois and Western Illinois. Tennessee Martin, Illinois State, Austin and Lamar, ESPN3. 3:05, Jackson State takes on Drake. And then 3:30, IUPUI and Miami of Ohio. Those 2 games also on ESPN3. And then we get to 4 o'clock. Okay, 4 o'clock for Saturday. Houston Baptist takes on Indiana on the Big Ten Network. These 2 games on the ACC Network. Mercer takes on Clemson. Tennessee State takes on North Carolina State. Wichita State and Oklahoma, ESPN2. And then 2 games on ESPN3, Murray State, Evansville, Milwaukee, and Loyola Chicago. Those are the 4 o'clock games. At 4:30, it's going to be Cincinnati and Butler on FS1. At 5 o'clock, Oklahoma State and Tulsa, CBS Sports Network. And then we have Maryland Eastern Shore and Central Florida, Morehead State and Lipscomb, ESPN3. 5:15, Duke and UNLV on ESPN. And then at 5:30, it's going to be North Florida taking on Arkansas on the SEC Network. Utah and Xavier, that game on Fox. 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock, it's going to be Long Beach State and Texas, ESPN2, Connecticut and Ohio State on the Big Ten Network. All right. Ton of basketball tomorrow. 7 o'clock. 5 games for 7 o'clock. 5 games for 8 o'clock as well. Rutgers and Stony Brook, ESPN3, Arizona State and San Diego State, CBS Sports Network, and then South Alabama, Stetson, Miles taking on Samford, Army, and Monmouth. Those games, ESPN3, and those are all the 7 o'clock games. Coming up at 8 o'clock, South Carolina State, Texas A&M on the SEC Network, Washington State and Kansas State, ESPN3, Michigan and UCLA, ESPN2, North Dakota and Northern Iowa, ESPN3, Valparaiso and Missouri State, ESPN2. One game for 9 o'clock, Chicago State and Bradley, ESPN3. 9:30, New Mexico and New Mexico State, ESPN3. And then 2 more games, 10 o'clock, Colorado takes on BYU, 10 p.m., ESPN2. And then 10:30, it's UC Davis and California. And that game is on the Pac-12 Network. And that is the lineup for Saturday. All right, good stuff. Tomorrow night we're going to do College Sport Check Football Bowl presentation. We're switching up. We'll do it at 7:05 tomorrow night. Welcome to College Sport. Thank you for tuning in. Keep you in the loop about the hoops, scores, and schedules. This is the College Sport Check Basketball. This is Manny A. from New York. Have a good one.